Right. Welcome back, students. Again, we have another good friend of mine that we're going to be cutting her hair, and this one is, you're going to like this cut because this is very short in certain spots and not in others, and yet the cuts that you're learning are going to be incorporated into this. So again, I have a sinus strip. I'm going to put it around her neck. Just tuck it around. Some people tie them in a knot. I like to keep them all perfectly straight. So when the cape itself goes around her neck, it's definitely not going to be touching her skin. And I mean, she's wearing clothes and so on, so that's just the type of business we run. But so what I want you to see is how short she is right in this area. We're going to take this real tight. And that's what it's called when you go real short. I'm going to take it real tight back here. And yet she's going to have what we call the uniform layer on the rest of it. With a little bit of tweaking, you're going to learn how to cut around the ears and stuff today. All of that stuff. But what I want you to get is I'm going to show you how to shampoo. So I'm going to take this slow because we've got to make sure to get our camera just right. Right, so you may see the camera move just a little bit one way or the other. But the first thing you want to do, once you have them set on the chair, and you're going to put the cape on them at the shampoo bowl. This particular chair is right in front of a shampoo bowl. So what we're going to do is, it's going to lay back. But if you put the cape on it at your station, that's fine. She can walk over to the bowl. The biggest thing is you want to keep the cape tail, or this part of the cape, outside. She does not sit on it. She doesn't lean on it. And the reason for that is when you're shampooing, if the water comes down, it's going to follow the cape and not fall into the chair and into her clothes. All right, so you want to be very careful about that. So I'm going to turn her around real quick here, and I'm going to walk in front of the camera to do this. Now this particular, do we need to move the camera? Okay. This particular chair, like I said, goes back. So I'm going to have her come forward a bit, bring the back, and this time before she lays back, I want to make sure that that cape is back behind the chair. As you can see right here, it's back behind the chair. All right, so make sure she's comfortable. We've got a nice little neck rest that falls right here, but her neck should rest right in that area of the shampoo bowl. If not, you can ask her to scoot back into the chair, or you may have to move the chair closer. All right, so those are all factors. So I'm going to walk in front of the camera again, and let's see if we need to move it before I start. Do we need to move it?
Yeah, I can't. All I see is your back.
Is my back? Okay, you want to go ahead and move the camera then. And it's okay, students, just understand we're moving the camera. To show you this. Alright, so when you take your hose out, you want to place it between your thumb and all of your fingers cup around the nozzle. The reason for that is because then you can feel the temperature of the water as it's coming out. On the hose, if you don't have two nozzles, and very seldom do you see salons anymore with two nozzles, but the hose goes one way and the other. So the nozzle itself will show you which is the warm side and which is the cold side. Red is warm, blue is cold. So I want to put it like in the middle, but as I do it, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to place my fingers on it so that I can feel the water as it warms up. Sometimes what it does is it'll sneak up on you and start coming out. So what you want to do, you want to hold your hand like this. Water feels nice right now. I'm just going to cup it around her ear. And my thumb kind of goes on her forehead. And I want to stay about a ½ inch away from the perimeter line the entire time. The water will capture it. So I'm going to go back and forth. And notice that I'm protecting her face by doing that. I'm going to then come over to the other side. Cup around her ear. Do the same thing, and I can feel the water. I'm feeling that water the entire time to make sure that it doesn't get too hot. I'm going to bring her bangs back, and I'm going to hold my hand like this to get it nice and wet so that the water does not go into her face at any time. See, and these are just, they become common movements for you. Now, I'm going to be turning the hose upside down right at the center nape. I want to make sure that her head stays down. Clients tend to want to lift their head, so this is why you would brace. So you want to hold on, and they want to make sure that you get the back of their head. So what you're going to do is you're going to cup your hand into the water like this at the back of her head. I'm going to gently lift, cup down into that nape. So I'm making sure that that water, by cupping it around her nape, in other words, pretend this is at the back of her neck. I'm cupping it like this, and then protecting it so the water doesn't come on down her shirt. So I'm going to come down again, and I can feel it. You can feel it that it's wet back there. All right? So you always go side, 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 and then you're going to turn off the water. And in some situations, you can also just use your arm to turn off the water. Lay the hose down. You only want a couple of squirts of shampoo. You don't need a lot. Work them in your hand. Come back around. And with your thumbs, now you're going to take your middle fingers and you're going to start with the middle fingers, and then you're going to add your pinky and your index finger. And you're going to shampoo. Circular motions back to the center crown, slide back. Circular motions back to the center crown, slide back. Use your thumbs. Go from the frontal, past the upper ridge and the apex to the center crown. Then what you're going to do, you're going to brace, and I'm going to be using this motion from parietal line to parietal line, always using only the balls of your fingers. You never use your fingernails. Now I want you to think about something. Sometimes clients will come in that have a lot of dandruff, especially clients with oily hair. And if you choose to use your fingernails, you're going to get some of that scalp underneath your nails. So yeah, does it feel good? Yes, especially when you have acrylic nails. They love it. You're scratching their head. They absolutely love it. And you think you're doing a great job. Okay, so you take your client to your station, you finish them up, you blow dry them, they leave, and then you decide you're going to eat your sandwich. If you have not scraped or brushed underneath those nails, you're holding that bare sandwich with those nails that just ran across that scalp. Balls of the finger, students. It's safer, works just fine. So with the balls of my fingers, all 4 fingers, from parietal line to parietal line. Do that 3 times, crossing across the frontal area. See that? All right, now I'm going to go across the apex. And I'm going to travel to the center crown just below, and then covering the vertex as well. I'm going to go back to the occipital, sides, back to the occipital. Sides, back to the occipital, every one of them 3 times. You want to pull that shampoo back, and then you want to gently lift, and you want to travel across the nape. Again, holding with one hand, traveling across the nape, with the other using the palms or the balls of your fingers. Put her back down, both hands. This time I'm going like this, across the occipital area. Do that 3 times. Now what you're going to do, which makes it really nice for a client, you want to push all that hair back. Then you want to give her a real nice, just very slow motion massage. Travel up into the apex, back to the center occipital. You see how I kind of swished her hair up a little bit? Very comforting. Center apex to the parietal line, back to the center crown. Don't press too hard. And then you're going to take that shampoo out, rinse off your hands, clean off the hose like that. You want to make sure that you're holding your fingers underneath the nozzle, and you're going to do the same thing again. This time, removing the shampoo, going underneath. We're not going to lift her head yet, and you want to stay about a ½ inch away from the perimeter line as you do it. It will take it off. Water bounces back on it. If you can't feel it that it's too hot, oops, I just got the floor wet, it happens. I wish I was perfect. I have one job. I'm never going to let you students forget that. Still going down. And those things happen sometimes. Just make sure that if you get it on the floor, that you clean the floor. Okay, so she's got short hair back there, so I'm going to brush it up and get it into that. Make sure she doesn't have any shampoo back there. So I'm going to run the water just a little slower. In other words, instead of such a hard flow, just a real low flow like that. So it doesn't spray all over. There. That's better at the nape. So it's not going down onto the floor. Okay, when you get your towel, before she comes up, you want to make sure and open up your towel. You're going to place it on the top of her head, and then you direct her forward. And if they've got longer hair, you want to get that long hair underneath it. And sometimes if the hair is longer than the towel, you want to put it up on top of the head. All right, so there's your shampooing, and then you want to make sure and dry it. And usually what I like to do is rub my client's shoulders a little bit, rub her neck a little bit, and then come up, make sure she's dry. And what I do with their towels, many times I'll put it in my apron. So this gives me something to wipe off my hands. You can see that. I'm going to pull this back up again. And we're going to move the camera so I can show you the cut. All right? Okay, students, I'm combing the hair forward, right at the vertex line right here, right at the area slightly behind the ear, and everything else comes down. So move the flat part of the head forward. So we've only got the actual occipital area and the nape exposed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it and right at that center nape, right at the area where you have your knowledge bone, I'm going to bring this hair at the perimeter line. I'm going to carve it up, and only at the center nape. And I'm holding my fingers like this to the scalp. Only at the center nape. All right, I'm going to take it. Now you see we're using our extended position on the shear. So I'm going to take it, bring it across. You notice my elbow is down. If my elbow was up, my shear would be like this. Elbow down when you're cutting. You don't want to go past the second knuckle. So I'm going to pull that up and take the rest of that off. Only in that area. Now if I wanted a true A-line, what I would do is that would be my guide. Both sides of what I just cut would be my guide. This would be diagonal in this form, and this would be diagonal in this form. So it would be the center nape at the occipital area, right there where your knowledge bone is, and that would come down to that corner at the nape line. Center nape here, come down to that corner at the nape line. In other words, that angle. So you know that exact angle. With her, we just cut it straight across, as opposed to doing that. So, no different than traveling around the head. You notice that I'm on the side. I'm not bringing this over. I'm on the side. Elbow down, extended position. And I'm taking it right back to, and this is where your ears become a point of measure. The tragus. All right, so the tragus just slightly above the tragus, is my guide for this line. That's why I teach you all the different parts of the head. I'm not saying here or there. There's specifics for you to get this. So I'm going to take it over to the other side. You see her tragus. There's her line. It's slightly above it. I'm using my previously cut hair as a guide. Going in with the extended position. And you see that tiny little corner. All right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to part her off at the parietal line. I'm going to comb it over. And I'm going to take this hair again, just like the previous cut, only shorter. It's not different. It's the same. So I'm going to take it from tip of the ear to parietal line, and I'm going to cut it straight across. Not across, I mean at a diagonal. Now this is the fascinating part of it. When I comb this down, as opposed to this being looking like a diagonal line, it actually looks like a horizontal line. And that has all to do with the perimeter line. This area here, and then of course slightly onto the interior. But it's the shape of the head. The head is round. When you go into diagonals, you take many straight diagonal lines to create a circle. So what we've done now, we've created a corner right there. That's the corner. When you take hair and direct it to a stationary guide, it's going to reflect the perimeter line. So I'm going to take it and remove that corner. Now she still wants a little bit of length. So see how nicely that combs back. If I would have taken it straight out, you would see an extreme hard line right there. Because I took it from tip of the ear to parietal line, it lays real nice. And yet you see that it falls in a horizontal line. Fascinating to me. Now I'm going to move her ear forward, and I'm just going to subsection about a 1/2 inch right here. Did you turn off that little? Do you want it off? Okay. Oh, it did? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take it and very gently, again, I'm bracing so she doesn't move. She could hiccup. Fly could come by. All right, so now do you see this little long spot right there? So I'm going to take that little long spot and I'm going to place my shear on my ring finger and just point cut it across at the same angle so that it lays real nice. Nice and soft. Now I want to show you something. The area behind the ear, one of the things that I want to happen here is I don't want those to stick out. So I'm going to take a vertical line, I'm going to take it and I'm going to roll it like this. You notice how it's rolled around my finger. And I'm holding it forward, so there's my guide, but I've drawn it forward, taking it straight up, and see how nice that starts laying down. Again, same thing here. I'm pulling it. Now this is what's done with shorter hair or curly hair. Again, another vertical line. Roll it, and now you can see a corner. Comb it back. Center, occipital, center crown, slightly rounded corner, bringing it off to the side so that it lays real nice, feeds in. Now I want you to see the other side that hasn't been done yet. From her previous cut you can still see it, but see all those little waves in there. So this eliminates that. I'm just going to repeat the procedure on this side that I did on the other one. Tip of the ear, perimeter line, not different. It's the same, extended position. Comb it back. And she's got a real sharp corner there, so I'm going to point cut it. Doing the exact same thing. It goes real nice. Pull her ear forward. Just like a little bit right there. Now you can see all those curls trying to come up. I'm going to fix that in just a minute. Now she does have a perm, so we're trying to get it to lay smooth right now, but what will happen is she'll be getting another perm later as well. She'll be ready for one on her next cut. Okay, so I'm going to take this again because I don't want that sticking up. Roll it, and I'm going to raise my arm way up so you can see me do this and see that start laying down real nice. Roll it. Now I want you to see how far I'm going. It's almost 2 fingers length that I'm bringing it over to this side. Again. And see that lay. Just really nice, and it's called the ducktail. It ducktails into the center. Now when I get to the center, I just hold it straight out and it comes in. This particular hair here at the lower ridge is going to be my guide for the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to part her down the center, and I'm going to ride the parietal line just to clean this up. And you see that I'm drawing over the hair at the apex to the parietal line. Hair at the lower ridge, everything is riding or traveling around the parietal line only. She's got some nice volume. She still has some good movement in there. And I'm going to do this so you can see it. There I am at the parietal line. Everything travels to it. And just barely singeing off those ends. Now, she wants volume. She wants this to stand up a little better. So at the top, slightly above the upper ridge into the apex, I'm going to cut her just the ends, front to back, picking up that crown right at the vertex, straight up and down. And look at that nice volume. So now it pops up for her. We've got a corner here. Do you see that kind of trying to flip out right there? So again, I'm going to roll cut it, and look at that tiny little corner that's causing those problems. And it's just a peak of a corner. Again. There you go. And it's laying down real nice. Again, this is trying to pop up. And I'm going to roll it around this way. No, that's not going to work. All right, so I want you to see it. So I'm going to turn her. So what I'm doing is I'm rolling it in this form. See that tiny little corner? There. How much nicer that's laying. And we're going to do the same thing for her in the front. We're going to subsection off at the frontal area to the parietal line, pie shape it, bring it straight out. We know about how long we want it, so I'm just going to clean this up a bit. All right, now at the nape, she doesn't like all that longer hair down there. So you're going to learn this with guys' haircuts anyways. I'm going to turn it around because I want you to see it. I'm going to do scissor over comb. Use the shear to help you. Pick it up. And I'm just going to take it only to the cut line. When I get to the cut line, I'm going to turn my comb. Got a little corner here. Now see that soften up compared to this side. Much softer, much nicer. So I'm going to take my comb, using the extended position so I can show you guys. Now, you don't ever want to just take it straight across because it's going to create a hard line. So you want to point cut into this to give it some shape. Come into the center, see that corner. Point cut into it to keep it soft. And notice how I'm holding the comb as I come up to the cut line. I change the direction of the comb as far as the angle on how I'm going to hold it. I got a little corner here. You can see the corners when you're cutting it, but you always cut comb, cut comb. You never just cut. Always look at it. If it doesn't need it, the biggest thing is to know what to do and how to do it, so that you don't have a problem. Now again, we know she wants volume on top, so I'm going to use my texture shear. The comb of the shear is going to give it direction, starting at slightly above the parietal line. 1, it goes out of the way, and 1. There, now it stays up for her real nice. No separation. You notice the separation on this side. This is laying down, you see that? So I'm going to go slightly above, parietal line, 1, 1. This time, both times the comb is going towards the apex. So it goes in really nice. The blow dry in this is virtually nothing. It's going to be so simple. So I'm going to start right at the crown behind the apex. Continue to roll my brush. Crown right at the, parietal line. Going down to the lower ridge. And this time, if you take it, bend it slightly, heat it up. I didn't even wrap it around the comb, let it cool. Now see how that stays back real nice. You can tell the hair what to do. The hair realistically has no brains. The brains are inside her head. So you taking control becomes essential. Here, I'm going to wrap that down a bit. But see that nice, you can see that nice line and that nice fitted look at the back of the nape. But I only went from the tragus straight across. That's why you've got to know those points of measure, so that when you're cutting, you don't have problems. How are we for time, dear? That was only 15 minutes? Huh? Okay. So we have 15 minutes, which is really nice. Okay, now again, you see how this hair travels down? I want it to travel up, so I'm going to take it, bend it, create a curve right there, heat it up. And you notice I'm not moving that blow dryer towards your scalp. The nozzle is away from the scalp. There you go. I have another area there. So when hair doesn't want to move, you have to tell it to move. This side of her head definitely grows forward. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a bend, turn the brush as I do it, let it cool. I want that center crown or center occipital to go down just a bit. I'm going to blow that hair away from her cape so it doesn't get on her. Now the frontal area, what we normally do with her is we bring it straight back. Now notice that I'm not doing this, all right? I'm using my full arm in the blow drying. Unless you want carpal tunnel, use your full arm when you blow dry. Or air form the hair, either way, whatever you want to call it. So she likes it off to the side a bit. So I heat it up and bring it over. So this is a real nice look for her. It lays nice, it's comfortable, it's easy, and one that very much she could very likely just get up and do it without blow drying it because of the cut. So, and you know, she does that. So if she wanted bangs, did you want bangs? No, no bangs. All right, so we're good. And you can see that it's just nice. It's a nice cut. Nice clean cut, easy for her. And again, we use the same techniques as we did with the other one. The front to back, the diagonal line, all of those things. Horizontal, we just brought it horizontal into the interior. You're going to do it horizontal down on the perimeter line and bring the hair away from that when we do our zero haircut or when we've done it. So all of these factors come in when you're doing a haircut. All right? Thank you, students. Take care. We'll see you next time.